We coming at you live with yet another late night ramblings about things that don't really matter all that much. But there's been a lot of buzz about the future of the MCU since San Diego Comic-Con is currently going on, and with things like the confirmation of Spider-Man 3 and Doctor Strange 2 and Black Panther 2 and Ant-Man 3 being in talks or whatever, everybody's got their fan theories cooking up about what could be coming next. And I have also thrown my hat into the mix. I mean, I've done a video about what to do with Black Panther 2 and what to do with Doctor Strange 2 and what to do with Spider-Man 3. But a lot of people's theories that I've seen about Spider-Man 3 don't include Mysterio. And I think that's kind of weird because, like, people think he's dead, I suppose. Like, I know at the end of the movie, it looks like he actually does die, but, like, you can't really be that naive, can you? Well, let's just talk about why I think Mysterio survived, or rather, why I know Mysterio survived the events of Spider-Man Far From Home. Alright, first of all, Jake Gyllenhaal, right, is a world-class actor. He's like top 5 actors of all time, probably. And an actor of his caliber, you don't really get him for a one-off unless it's a one-off movie. Like, he's in the movie, that's the only movie in that series or whatever, and he's not meant to come back for a sequel. And on that topic, I don't think he's ever actually done a follow-up. But since this is a franchise, if you hire somebody like Jake Gyllenhaal, you need to get your money's worth, because he's got to be extraordinarily expensive. And an actor of his kind would set the bar very, very high. And unless they're trying to go for a very eccentric, very elaborate villain for the next movie, it's going to be hard to get an actor that can play that role and give a performance that will match up with, or if you're lucky, surpass the performance of Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio. Turns out that actor and that character were just made for one another. Who would have known? But obviously, they have a plan to bring him back later, right? They have to, because they don't want people walking out of Spider-Man Homestuck, which is my effective fan theory title for the next movie. You don't want people walking out of Homestuck being like, yeah, Craven was cool, but, he was nowhere near Mysterio. I wish Mysterio had been the villain for a second time. I wish Mysterio blah, 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 blah. You don't want people walking out of the movie feeling empty because Mysterio wasn't there. So, surely, at least I hope, they know that and fully intend to use Mysterio. Now, real world stuff aside, in universe, Mysterio is the master of illusions and trickery and deception, and basically he's a high scale liar on the same level as a military recruiter or an attorney at law, something like that. His whole goal was to trick people, right? He was trying to trick the entire world into thinking that he was a hero. And it was working, he made people think that he was somebody from another dimension and that there were elementals coming and blah, 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 blah. He tricked, quote-unquote, Nick Fury into thinking all this elaborate stuff. And when his plan was in danger, he didn't freak out or anything, he just adjusted. He's a very smart man with backup plans for his backup plans. It's very obvious that he probably had a contingency plan for if he were to screw up somewhere along the way. He would have had to. It's just the smart thing to do, But apart from that, he kind of got himself boxed into a bit of a corner at the end of the movie. He obviously, lost Edith and lost control of all those drones or whatever, but he still had a backup plan for, revealing to the world that all those drones attacking all those people that you saw, that was Spider-Man, and Spider-Man is Peter Parker, blah, blah, blah. He's the villain, so to speak, of the next movie. He wouldn't set Peter Parker up to be the villain if he didn't plan on coming back and defeating him as the hero. Doesn't that make sense? I mean, the world still thinks he was a great hero that gave his life in battle trying to protect the world. Only a select few people know that, he was just a faker using illusion tech and wearing a motion capture suit. So that's kind of how I feel like that's going to be rationalized. And, since this whole thing was tricking Nick Fury and that didn't work, he can trick Nick Fury into thinking he was dead all this time. He can come up with better ways to enhance his illusion tech and be an even bigger threat this time around. It doesn't have to end with him supposedly dying on that bridge. And about the whole thing of him dying on that bridge, I feel like that could have been an illusion, Could have still been a hologram. Now, hear me out. That's probably going to sound silly, right? Here's the thing. He supposedly defeated the air elemental, the sand elemental, the water elemental, and the fire elemental, all before he got access to Edith and those drones. All Edith allowed him to do was make an illusion on a grander scale and use these drones like on a different level than he was able to previously, because now he's got more resources. He didn't need Edith for his plan to work on the most basic level. He needed Edith in order to create an Avengers level crisis for him to show up and stop and, be the hero. Edith wasn't some gateway to him being Mysterio. It was just a way to elevate himself to Iron Man levels, which, on the topic of his plan, I actually think this is interesting. I think he knew ahead of time that Peter was going to be going on a trip to Europe, and so he lined up his elemental attacks with about the same time that Peter would be in Italy, so that they would cross paths, and then Fury would be able to secure Parker. I don't know what... I feel like it's possible that Fury was, trying to get other heroes, but maybe Beck was like, come on, we need Spider-Man. Spider-Man might be able to help us a little bit better than, all these MIA Avengers. And at the same time, Fury's like, everybody else is missing. I don't know how to contact them. Then it kind of works out, because, this movie is 8 months after Endgame, and Thor went back to space immediately after Endgame, and supposedly so did Captain Marvel, and Doctor Strange went right back to being the master of mysticism. Point is, right, I'm sure he planned ahead and was able to make sure that he crossed paths with Spider-Man at the exact time that he needed to. Now, moving on. I know he supposedly got shot and everything, right? I do believe he actually got shot. I don't think he faked getting shot. He, put himself in that situation on his own. But, remember the part where he's like, oh, you trusted me, and that's the most disappointing part, and then that ended up being an illusion. It was like a setup so that he could take a shot at him, and that was the real Beck. He'd already gotten the glasses from the hologram version of Beck, because I think he dropped them or something like that. Who's to say there wasn't an illusion in an illusion? Maybe it was really Beck that tried to take the shot at Peter, and then Peter grabbed the gun and blocked it. But once he let go, that's when an illusion came over him. And you still might be thinking oh, well, all the Edith drones were shut down. I don't think he only brought Edith drones to that scene. I'm pretty sure he brought his own supply of drones, because at the end, when and then here's another thing, his team didn't seem at all concerned that their leader, the face of their operation, had just shot himself and died, because the guy downloaded the illusion. He downloaded the simulation or whatever to use at the end of the movie. If you were paying attention, it said that he also had access to 500 drones. So that's roughly what I'm assuming is how many drones they had before they got access to Edith and all of its drones. So I'm sure Beck was like, I might end up losing Edith in this, run this backup plan, because he said they'll see what I want them to see, but we didn't see or hear what Beck said or came up with or instructed his team to do after he said that line. So it's very possible that not only did he set up this dummy footage to be used at the end of the movie, but he also created a fake death scene for himself. Again, it's still very possible that he did get shot, but it's equally possible that at a very specific moment there's a hologram in place of Beck, and the hologram is the thing that ends up dying, because he didn't ask Edith to check his vitals or anything. He said, is this real? And Edith was like, all the illusions are down. Edith can't speak for drones that it doesn't control. At least that's what I'm assuming. because, I mean, why would it be able to? It's not coded to the drones that Beck already had access to prior to gaining access to Edith. So, again, to sum it all up, it's very plausible that Beck, using the drones that he already owned before gaining Edith, was able to generate a last-minute illusion to make Peter think that he died so that he could lick his wounds in between the second and third movie, come up with a better plan, be an even bigger threat. Maybe he doesn't need to rely on drones this time. Maybe he has, like, hallucinogenic mist that he can use, because then he won't need to go to a place where a quote-unquote battle is supposed to take place and set up all the drones and projectors and then activate them at a certain time. Now, I mean, like, that's all good and dandy if you have something planned and if you're going to ambush somebody, but if you need to fight on the spot, it's easier if you can just, like, throw a smoke bomb that can neutralize the spider sense and generate all these illusions and nightmares for Peter to have to fight his way through. I think that would be a very interesting way to work him into the story for the next film, because, again, Jake Gyllenhaal's a great actor, and it would be a shame to waste him. Mysterio's whole thing is deception and illusions and lies, and again, it's very plausible that he, according to the things that were set up in the movie, could have survived what happened to him. And also, you know what? He died too unceremoniously, and we didn't see, like, there is no confirming of the kill, you know? Didn't check his pulse. His body wasn't destroyed. He didn't, like, fall into a river or anything like that. His body is just out there chilling, and to me, that means he's still alive. So, thanks for coming to my TED Talk, and I will see you with maybe another theory. It's been a long time since I've consistently done theories, so if you want me to do another one, let me know in the comments, and I'll get right on that. See you soon.